Let's say we wanted to go from radians to degrees. How would we do that? Well, going back to our previous lesson, we showed that pi radians over 180 degrees is equal to 1, right? So the flip must be true, right? 180 degrees divided by pi radians is also 1, because they're the same thing, right? 180 degrees around the circle is the same as pi radians, because there's 2 pi radians and 360 degrees, as we've shown up here. So let's do a visual illustration of that so we don't lose track of what we're doing here. So again, 2 pi radians is all the way around the unit circle. So pi radians is halfway around, which is the same as 180. So if you divide these two things, regardless of which way you divide them, you get 1 back, right? So when we're converting from radians to degrees, we want degrees to be in our answer. So we'll put it on top of the fraction. We want the radians to cancel, so we put it on the bottom. So with that being said, let's go ahead and convert. In order to convert, it's simple. Take the radian, multiply by 180 over pi radians, and that's 180 degrees. So let me notate that. The radians will cancel, as with the pi's. You'll just be left with something in terms of degrees. So example 1, convert 5 pi over 4 to degrees. We're going to multiply by 180 over pi. Again, it's in degrees. Every time you do this, the first thing you'll do is just cross your pi's out, cross-cancel your pi's. The next thing you'll do is you'll probably end up cross-canceling from top right to bottom left. 180 over 4 equals 45. So we just end up with a 45 there. The pi's already gone, so there is no bottom of the fraction. So now it's just 5 times 45, which equals 225 degrees. So 5 pi over 4 is the same as 225. We can confirm that visually. Here's 225 on the unit circle. If we go to radians, we can see it's the same as 5 pi over 4. Same thing as 225 degrees. Okay? So that's why, like I said, it's helpful to learn the unit circle in terms of radians and degrees, because sometimes you don't even have to convert. You already know what it is. Okay. Let's convert 5 pi over 8. This is not a standard angle on the unit circle, but we will convert it anyways. Multiply by 180 over pi, just like we did before. 180 over 8 equals 10. So we will cross cancel again from top right to bottom left. Again, the pi's always cancel. So this is 10. I'm sorry, that's not 10. Caught myself. 180 over 8 is not 10, excuse me. 180 over 8 is 45 over 2, okay? We can divide the top and bottom. We can cross-cancel, cross-reduce by dividing the top and bottom by 4. That's the biggest number that goes into 180 over 8. So 180 over 8 reduces to 45 over 2. And then the 5 stays here. 5 times 45 is 225 over 2. Now, a fraction doesn't really make sense for degrees, so we're going to just convert that to a decimal. 112.5 degrees. So 5 pi over 8 is actually 112.5 degrees. I guess you could think of it as half of 225, but that's what it is as a decimal. So sometimes when you do convert from radians to degrees, you do get a decimal. Let's do a few more. Negative 10 pi over 3, so we're going to multiply that by 180 over pi. This will reduce to 60 for sure. These pi's, again, always cancel. So we're going to have negative 10 times 60, which is negative 600. Okay, so that means that negative 10 pi over 3 is the same as negative 600 degrees. Let's do one more. 11 pi over 9. Okay, kind of a weird radian, but that's okay. Again, you can think of pi as 180, and I'm going to show you guys a shortcut before we're done. So multiply this by 180 over pi. We can see that 180, the pi's will cancel. 180 over 9 is just 20, and then 11 times 20 is 220 degrees. So 11 pi over 9 is the same as 220. Shortcut time. You might really like this shortcut. The shortcut for converting from radians to degrees, since pi is equal to 180, just take the pi and replace it with 180. Everything else will fall into place. Alright, now we can quickly say 180 over 4 equals 45, and 3 times 45 equals 135. That is the shortcut for converting from radians to degrees. Just take your pi and replace it with 180. Okay, that's the shortcut, and it works every time. And that's only because, pi radians is equal to 180. All right. If you don't like that, you can always do what we just did, which is multiply by 180 over pi. It's the same thing. You're just cross-canceling or cross-reducing and crossing your pi's out. That's it for converting from radians to degrees. If you have any other questions about it, let me know.